Alrighty, so in this video, I'm just going to show you quickly how to drop some images on the page, and we're going to do this in two different ways, just so you've got an idea of what your options are. So for starters, let's just go into one of our pages, and I'm actually going to I'm going to do a few things here for you, a couple little extra things. I'm going to do that equal sign the way I like to, and I'm going to bring you up into the library, and we're going to drop a background. So you'll see I saved this before. I'll show you how to recreate that really quick. Just a little something extra you can tuck in your back pocket. All right, so I'm going to start with a background. I'm not sure what I had chosen that from, but okay, it was this one right here. So we've got all of these simply create backgrounds. There's also simply create templates. There's simply create graphics, aka clip art. So if you say you went with the free form cover, then you can go into your book, use those backgrounds, use the templates, use the graphics to try and maintain that that thematic thread throughout your book. So I'm going to drop this onto my page. You can do it on the left page, just the right page. In this case, we're going to go onto both pages. Awesome background, vibrant. So sometimes, with these more busy backgrounds, I think people, it's like, yeah, do I really want to use that? It's kind of, there's a lot going on. Is it going to become a little bit too messy on the page? So one workaround for that, this is one of those times I like to use my shapes. So I'll grab this rectangle and I'll just draw a rectangle. It'll come right under the 2 here. All right, so now I've got that rectangle, right? So over here, this little wrench, this is going to be your friend. These are your tools in general. So this is your content. This is your layers. And if you have questions about layers, we'll touch on that later, but that's something we can also talk more about. You've got your page properties, and then you've got your history right here. So as you're going, anytime you can go back through your history a few moves. You can always come up here too and undo something that you just did. So if I, whatever, screwed something up, I didn't like that, then I can just undo and go back one move. But you can also do that over here. So right now I'm going to go into this wrench. This is going to be your best friend. So I'm going to change the fill color to white. And now let's do, we've got a border, a black border around there. Let's make it a little thicker so we can see it. All right, so now you've got a border. So this is just a good way to utilize those busier backgrounds that we've got that can also carry that theme throughout the book, but without maybe having all of the busyness that's on the page that's created by that. Again, totally works either way. You can leave it there, and oftentimes I do. It just, sometimes, with like I said, those more involved backgrounds, if you'd have to be a bit more particular about the sort of template that you build on top of it to make sure that you're not doing something that's, maybe a little bit overstimulating, right? So I've got my border there. We're all set. And now I'm going to grab a template. I already saved this one over here, which is basically what we're going to use, but we made this one before. So let's add that to the page. And we had talked about this next little part. So since I just put that background there and that shape to create that border, I'm going to say add to existing content. If I do replace content, it's just going to get rid of that stuff. So I'm going to add to existing content, click apply, and then you'll see, boom, we've got it on top of that. Alrighty, so right here I've got 15, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 photo boxes. So I'm going to come up into my photo library. So there's a couple different things you can do here. Say this is the folder that I'm working from. I can click here, and then I can click Control and grab this one too, and then click Control and grab this one. Let's say Control, grab that one. So you can go through and grab individually the different images that you want, or you can also just click the top one, click Shift, and grab all of them. So I'm going to add these to my content, and I'll show you in a minute where those go. And now I'm going to say add to my page. So you'll see I've got 15 pictures here loaded up onto my hopper. And then pretty much you just go through and start placing them. So my nephew Kelly is a bit older now. He's in kindergarten now. All right, we got a few black and white images there. Got some cake. Got my buddy T-Gale. Actually, intentionally. So typically, like if I've got one, like a picture like this one that's on the hopper next. So that's, a landscape oriented picture. So you want to put it in a box that's, of a similar shape. Like Theo would fit better right here, but it just gives us an opportunity to show how we can move that around in there. So let's put Theo somewhere that he maybe, wouldn't fit as well. So that zoomed it in to help me out. And then we'll just throw these last few into place. Boom. Alrighty, so we've got some images on the page. So this is one, okay, we want to see T-Gale. So we could double click and move him. We can also, once we've double clicked, we can make it smaller if we wanted to. You don't want to make it smaller than, than the box that it's in. So we can make more of him visible. Say we wanted to move Theo over a little bit. We could do that. This one right here could stand to come up some, and yeah, maybe we want to make it a little smaller. Well, we can't make it too much smaller for this box, otherwise we'd have to cut the box down as well, which we can absolutely do. But at the very least, we want to maybe make it so that that table's in there, right? Center it a little bit better. So that's just dropping the pictures in place. So double clicking, that's going to allow me to move things around, crop things, make them bigger, all that fun stuff. And then you'll also see that this little gray box comes up, or I'm sorry, circle, not a box. And this is going to be my more advanced settings where I can make it gray, black and white. I can come in down here and do some cropping. Just go through, rotate, flip, all that fun stuff. Pixelate, brightness. This is where you're going to have all of that manipulation available to you. Right now, I'm just going to show you that this exists. So feel free to come in here and play around with your images once you've got them. Sometimes it's fun, if you do like a you're doing like a history page where you're showing, some like stuff from years past. You can do all black and white, or so I had a page for another school last year where it was a lot of it was black and white, and then they had this really vivid, beautiful picture of some hot air balloons, and we put that in color and just really make it stand out against the page. So I'll show you just a few other things. If we come over here to our, I guess it's saying properties. It's really, I call it tools. It's our tools. So you can change the color of the background, or I'm sorry, the stroke. So this stroke here is really just another word for a border. So in this case, the white like really does look good, especially when you cake them on top of each other like that, and then it mixes with that background. It looks cool in my opinion. So this is where you can play with that. You could make it thinner or thicker. So if I like wanted to have two, say if I wanted to change the opacity, this is good. Like sometimes if you set a big image and like I want to maybe use that as a background and put some stuff over top of it, you can change the opacity, and then I could put maybe a headline over that. That could be like a big, maybe it's an introduction to your sports section. You have like a really cool sports shot, and you put it really big over a 2-page spread, and then you play with the opacity a bit so that you can then put something on top of that. Text wrap, we'll touch on that in a little bit. But so basically, if I wanted to make this available for text wrapping, I could just say enable text wrap. So that way, if I were to put some text, ultimately when I start typing into it, it will just wrap the text around that picture that has text wrap enabled on it. Drop shadow, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So the distance, so you can see that shadow down here. The opacity, you can make it a little lighter, a little darker. You can have it going in a different direction. So now it's going up. Choose where your sun is and create it as thus. So drop shadow, we know what that is. Opacity, text wrap, stroke, that's just your stroke is just your border. I've got this one here, edges, you can make them different. So like kind of more of like a university. Sometimes they call it like a Harvard border. or maybe these circled ones. I'm going to take that off. So it's just so you could go through and make some of these edges rounded. Totally up to you. Just some stuff that you can play around with. So this is position and size. So I'd get in here. This is something that you'll just want to get around and tinker with, and you'll kind of start to get an idea of how it manipulates the images. But so that's the main basics right there. And right here, you've got this box. So at any point, you can do some of that. It'll always show that number. So if you wanted to take this one here and make it the same amount, okay, this is 352. You could either do it to the same amount right there, or you can come over here and you could rotate it and say, I want it at 352, right? So play around with that stuff, but that is just a bit of an idea of how that works. And the one other thing I showed you, so when we came in here before and I highlighted all these pictures, I did add to content. So when I do that, the reason we do that, so if I'm working on this page and I add to content, all of a sudden those pictures that I'm looking at as an option, they come right here. So then say I didn't have anything, then you can just be a little bit more deliberate about what you're dropping where, right? So now I've got this picture on there twice, and that actually brings up something else that I can show you now. So if I save this and we X out of there, this will be the last thing I show you as far as this right now. And I come up into my image library, you'll see this picture right there that I just placed twice. It's got a ×2, so that means it's in the book twice. So oftentimes, I think probably more often than not, we don't want to have a picture in there twice. We want to get as many pictures, as many kids, as many faces in our book as possible. So, okay, I see this picture of T-Gals in there twice. If I come up to my list, it's going to tell me where all of these pictures are. And in this case, okay, so this is on page 2 and page 3. So maybe it's on page 2 and then it's on page 86. Whatever it might be, you're not going to have to go around and search for it. You just got it right there. I'm going to delete it from page 86 because I've already got it on page 2. All right, so I hope that was helpful, and thank you again for watching.